Feels good to be back here. It's been a minute. You boys been busy, all right? Especially with this guy right here. We've been writing too many apps, so I haven't been in here. But hey, welcome back, guys. It's Jacob Crotty here, and joined by Christopher Lacey here with me, as well, agent on the rise here, kind of learning the ropes. So for us, as everybody knows by now, by watching your TV or picking up your phone or by watching our videos, we're in the middle of AEP. So we might have a few people pop in. We just kind of had a little meeting of the minds prior to this. That's why I had to kind of run in here last minute. But for us, we're just here. I might have something to talk about, but I want to check in with you first. How are you doing?
Jolly good. Feeling more and more comfortable all the time. As we visited about before, some aspect of muscle memory, being automatic, repetition, important in order to just have that sense of confidence in what you're doing. And that's also, it's an interesting interplay between if you're on the phone with somebody while you're filling out their application, then you're making chit chat, and then you should have to also concentrate on details as well. So it's the back and forth a little bit there.
I think it's, let's talk about the two that we did, you and me here this morning. So for some reason, I've been doing this a whole lot lately, and I don't know why, but that one, we weren't going to write him at first, just so you know, before I got you on the phone.
She said something about that when I was on the line with
just because it was a little bit of a weird situation. This is for everybody here. If you're on an Advantage plan or if you're on Medicare and you don't know if some of the other benefits are there for you, they're on VA coverage. They're on Chant VA as well, too.
Right.
Where they had majority of doctors were VA. All of her drugs were covered by the VA. His drugs, he had to fill some of them at a separate facility. So for him, it made sense for him to get a Medicare Advantage with a prescription drug plan. But for her, she doesn't need the drug coverage. So you can go look into the better benefits for it. So their plans that they had were both with AARP. Hers was an AARP HMO. When she called in, we weren't even talking about her plan. She wanted to talk about her husband's plan.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking at his plan, and I was like, well, since he does have to get drug coverage, it looks like it's still going to be, it's a PPO with AARP. It's $0. She was like, yeah, he just doesn't get kind of some of the stuff that I get, like some of the added benefits. And I go, well, it's because his has drug coverage, yours doesn't. So they can afford to give you some more benefits too because they have to cover less. And then it turns out hers was an HMO POS. The whole reason we got on this story was because she went to her primary care doctor, right? Her doctor wasn't available for the time that she scheduled, so they had to give her the physician's assistant.
I see.
She had to pay a copay.
Yeah, didn't like that.
Didn't like that because that doctor, well, that's not her fault. And that's not the insurance fault. That's the doctor's office fault. Because since that doctor was not there for their appointment and that's listed as primary care on her card, she has to pay $35 for that one physical or one checkup, whatever it is. Because she went to go see her primary and her primary is not available. And her primary is the only one where it's $0. So little things like that. Like I could pick up some kind of pain points and everything like that. And what turned this into a deal? Because I was like, look, you guys are pretty good spots. She goes, okay, before I let you go, and this is, when they say that, you got another hour and a half, 2 hours on the phone before I let you go. They just have a general question, which it did. It ended up in 2 sales. But she goes, what's all this stuff that I've been hearing about for these get money back on your Social Security and food cards and flex cards? And I go, well, a lot of them are designed for people with Medicaid, but they don't show you that on the commercials. Or what you click on where you enter your information in. They don't show that these are intended for people with Medicaid because they can get away with more benefits because the state is paying for a lot of their health bills, not the company.
Mm-hmm.
And going into that, she goes, well, how do you get money back on Social Security? And I go, well, they have this thing called a Part B give back. And I go, you might actually have one. Let me see. And it turns out her AARP plan was a $50 give back. I was like, oh, you already have one. You already have one there with you. She goes, oh, that's probably why I saw that bump in my Social Security check starting in January of this year, right? And I go, yeah, more than likely. So what that is, and explained it to her and just go, your premium this year is $170. Next year it's $164. That's paying $50 towards that premium, so you get a little bump. So with these advertisements and stuff, they can say you get money back from Social Security. They're just paying for your Medicare. Straight up. That's what it is. She goes, oh, it's very interesting. And so I was looking, and that's when I go, oh, okay, well, let me just look at the give back plans now that we're talking about it. She goes, well, I always love more money. And that's where, boom, Humana at a beautiful $125 give back.
Wow.
That was a PPO now, not even an HMO. She had an HMO POS, which is kind of similar, but it's a little different. It's still not at PPO level. This was not only a PPO plan, but her doctor was in the same network, okay, counted as primary. And she went from $50 to $125 in give back. And then we knocked hers out, and then she goes, well, since his isn't, you know, since he has that drug there with it, his drug coverage, I think he's good. And I go, let me just look for him real quick. Turns out there was a Humana PPO with the drug coverage that was $60 give back, and all the doctors were in network.
But yeah, that just is indicative of the fact that you're a wizard.
No, not a.
See, you can do that sort of thing.
Not a
and
wizard.
We're all
yeah.
just tagging along. We're learning as we go.
You do learn as you go. That's the beauty thing.
That's impressive for sure. Yeah, that was quite a maneuver.
I tell you, you know, it's not even a maneuver. I think I talked myself out of it. I think I talk myself. My brain talks myself out of a lot of deals, but something in me goes, there's got to be some way you can help this family. Mm-hmm. There's got to be some way that you can leave them off better than when you first started talking to them. And I think that is when they start to ask questions and everything like that. Like the conversation I had prior to that one was a lady who I've talked to every October for the last few years, and she's not even a client of mine. Mm-hmm. You know, she signed on with somebody else. Now, bless her heart, she got diagnosed with some type of leukemia diagnosis where there's no treatment. There's nothing like that. It said just over time, your white blood cells are going to lower and lower. But it is a cancer diagnosis. And, you know, she can't go through, might go through underwriting, but she's got a really good premium, which she's paying. She's also on some pretty heavy pain meds and tried to help her with that. And that was like $70 in savings per the year. And I go, look, just for me, this isn't worth it for you to do it. I think a whole lot of karma comes for that, from telling people where it's like, look, I don't think this is worth it for you to switch. You don't need to. If you're thinking that you have to, you don't have to. And that's a tip for everybody out there that's on their Medicare right now, whether you have a Plan G, Plan N, high deductible, Medicare Advantage, MAPD, DSNP, whatever it is. Just because this is a time of year where people think, I have to change something, you ain't got to change anything. You don't. It's voluntary. For a lot of people, I can't tell you how many email replies I have to say this to. But your Plan G, you don't have to change anything right now. You don't. It's a month-to-month contract, and by you paying the premium, it's going to renew for next year. You don't have to address anything. Same with Advantage Plan people or Part D drugs, whatever it is. You don't have to do something. You can look, but just because it is time to do something doesn't mean you have to. That's the important part of it, because with the way the media works and the way that all the advertisements go out, and I'm sure you might have saw some this weekend on TV.
It's not okay. Me, because
I hear them on the, you know what I started doing an old man thing. You know what I do now?
What's that?
Listen to AM radio.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Adrian, you can laugh all you want at that one. Yeah. I don't know why. Just this weekend, I got one of those Bluetooth adapters in my truck, and I have to put it on FM. And I was just going down the street, and I just like went to AM, and it was some like sports talk show.
Right.
And I was like, oh, this ain't too bad. I'll listen to this. And then Sunday when I was driving my truck, same thing. I just kept it on the AM thing, and it finally clicked. And I'm like, I'm 29 going on 30, and I'm really 75, 80 years old. I really am. And if you know me, if you've interacted with me, that's the truest statement.
I'm going to listen to some AM radio.
Look.
Yeah, you got me in the mood now. Mm-hmm. It's just you find the weirdest things on AM radio, right? Like
it's just so entertaining.
Yeah,
it was. But I mean, that's kind of going back to the whole AEP thing. You know, people are just getting pressed nonstop. We're inundated. Where if you go, you know, the one thing I hate about this job, and I know there's so few things. The one thing I hate is this time of year when I go home to relax. I don't watch a whole lot of TV. I mainly just watch like sports games and stuff like that. What I do watch religiously is College Game Day on Saturdays for college football. Do you know that, and the news every morning from like 5 to 6? I just have on in the background. Do you know what commercials they run at 5 a.m. and 8 a.m. in the morning?
Yeah, it's
for seniors.
Yeah.
And it's nothing but healthcare. And then I get home and I'll turn the TV on at 5:15, 5:30. Do you know what commercials they run during the evening news? Medicare. Senior specific commercials. So when you say inundated, there's no way to get around it. Nowadays, there's not, unless you turn off your TV. I mean, you would have to almost not have a mailbox because you can build. I bet there's a whole lot of people out there that are going to watch this. They can play forts. They can make forts with all the marketing stuff that they get.
Yeah.
Like you really can nowadays. That's the one that's a hill that I will forever die on, where I think the mailing of the companies directly. So I'm not talking like an agent mailing something out. I'm talking like Blue Cross Blue Shield mailing something to me directly. I think that should be illegal, just like it should with the spam emails and stuff. I can't tell you how many times I get something a week from Discover.
Oh wow!
Guess how many Discover cards I have?
None.
Guess how many times I've ever went to a Discover website?
Yeah.
0. Nothing. I have no idea. No idea for it. But when all of the media and all of the marketing and all the advertising only say that this is your only time of year to change, those aren't agents that make those commercials. They're marketing companies, is what they are. So for a lot of kind of what we have to do is mainly, preferably, a supplemental shop here. You have to educate, throughout the year.
Right.
And once you have them educated, I mean, I have people call me and tell me, Humana called me. They try to get me to buy their plan. And I go, okay, how did it start? And they go, well, I have my drug plan through Humana. But then some agent was trying to tell me about this Plan G that was $45. And I go, oh, you didn't fall for it, did you? And they go, no, it's an Advantage plan. They're just lying.
Oh, whoa. But now that should be definitely illegal.
It's illegal, but it happens every day. Every day. When Brandon was in here, I do believe that was on Friday, if I'm not mistaken. We were talking about why Advantage plans are so popular for newer agents to write. Well, number one, you don't have to qualify. There's no health qualifications. Realistically, the system makes a decision for us. If you notice it, once we put all the information into the CRM, we put in medications and doctors, it populates, this is going to be the best choice. Okay. Remember, that's Advantage side. So you don't have to go through their health conditions, none of that. The flip side, the supplemental, is so much harder to learn because you have underwriting, because you have different companies that take different conditions.
Right, right. Exactly.
This is when medications come into play more than anything. So a whole lot of new agents are going to go, do I want to do the hard one or do I want to do the easy one to enroll? And I always go the easy one. And it kind of blew Brandon's brain when I told him, I go, look, anybody that we have a Medicare number for, we can enroll them in an Advantage plan. Now, it's not going to be legal, but you talk to a lot of these people out here, especially a lot of people on Medicaid that just get flipped every 2 months or so. Wow. They say, I don't know how I got this plan.
Right.
I just got the card.
Yeah. And it's a shame because there's so much information, so much marketing, and so much confusion that creates so much confusion. And you're talking about people that are fairly elderly and maybe have this or that condition. So I was talking to this lady today, and she told me what plan she was on. She's like, okay, this card's right here. And then she told me the plan, and I made notes about it. And then, but like, I don't know, it was maybe 3 minutes later, she's like, oh no, this is the thing that I'm on. Like, it was totally different, And I'm like, okay, like, getting information from these folks is a challenge a lot of the time. But maybe you could, I don't know if you want to talk about that for just a minute. Like, yeah, because, of course I have a lot of sympathy, but at the same time, I'm trying to extract the information in a compassionate way, right?
Really for it, you have to there's different ways that you can approach it, but you always want to be, the most helpful that you possibly can, but come off as helpful and not coming off as I'm trying to find information about you.
Yeah.
But instead, I'm
Yeah.
trying to find information to help you.
Right.
So when I get into those situations where this person has just been switched just repeatedly, what I do is I go, okay, grab the card that you brought to the doctor last.
I
want you to
tried
grab
that one too.
And then here's the other move too. If they're still not sure, ask them, okay, is there an effective date for when this started on the card? Because they all should have a start date for the card. And for all you people out there that are going to say, use marks, grow up, ask your own questions, figure it out yourself. Don't let the computer do it for you. It's not that hard to figure out, people. It's not. Marks is not a clutch. A Medicare number should never be taken within the first 2 minutes of a phone call to see if somebody's eligible. Okay? I don't need your MBI to know if your doctor's in or out of network. Sorry, you got me triggered there. My bad, Adrian. But that's one trick I always do is with the effective date, because that'll tell you. Because if they say, well, I've got 3 cards here, and I go, okay, read me off the effective date. Tell me when they started. Because I tell you what, the last one that started the or soonest, earliest, whatever it is, the closest to today's date, that's what your coverage is. The other 2 you can get rid of.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's in a whole lot of questions too. I mean, I have to do that with some of my people that I've worked with for years now. But sometimes you just have to have that conversation to where they might hold on to something for, longer than somebody else would, and then they get a little confused, and then now they don't know. So anytime I'm in that situation where, especially if they've been flipped through that much, I say, go grab them all. We'll figure this out eventually. And take the time, like the lovely lady that you and me helped this morning. I can't tell you how many times she tried to get me off the phone because she felt bad for taking my time. Because she was like, okay, well, why don't you, like right when we first had the conversation, and she was like, okay, well, why don't you just research it and then you can call me back? And I go, no, you keep you on the phone here. She goes, I know, but I don't want to keep you. And I go, don't worry about that. Like, that doesn't matter. I was like, this is going to be the best opportunity I have to talk to you where I have your full attention, you have my full attention. So we're going to talk about this. She was real appreciative of it because she felt bad knowing that, this is going to take long. Like, I don't want it to run long. I want a quick answer, but I don't want to, create more harm for him by keeping him on for this long. Like, it doesn't matter. Love the one you're with there. That's why the people that are, man, y'all crack me up on those Facebook groups and everything like that, the online forums where they ask, how can I get these senior citizens to shut up so I can leave after the application? And I'm like, buddy, they probably want you to leave too after. They know if you're not going to appreciate them trying to have a conversation with you and being a human, you're really not going to get far in this business. Those are the Advantage Plan people. Those are the ones where they don't have to underwrite them. You don't do nothing. You just need a Medicare number and a signature.
I see.
And they say, okay, yeah, so yeah, at that point, yeah, I have no personal interest in you. Okay, give me my commission here. We signed, I'm good. Let me move on to the next one. Those people don't make it in this industry. So if anybody ever tells me, well, I feel bad because you're busy or we're taking up your time, you take as much as my time as you want. I ain't got anything else to do. And she laughed too because she was like, well, don't you have some other people to call? And I go, I can leave voicemails or I can talk to you. So I'd rather talk to you here. I got a live human with me. But even before we started to the application, she was like, okay, do you have time for this? I felt like, she probably asked you that too. Or she didn't want to be a burden and take more time than it should.
She was a very, very sweet lady. And I think that she was grateful, because in a situation where perhaps she was thinking that, that you wouldn't necessarily be able to help her, and maybe you were thinking the same thing, but you found out that the conclusion was that you did help them both, and that's what we're here for. And so it's a happy ending.
That's why it's always really good to. I did when you were in the bathroom, I did the really big referral push too.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's great.
Just because she does see value in it.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to build the relationship and spend the time with the folks is because It's the result of having a happy customer, making their lives better, and then building that relationship that really generates business and propels your bottom line forward eventually, which is right. Yeah, it's just a philosophy and a way of doing business, right?
Mm-hmm. You a big karma guy?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm a big. No, I'll have to recycle this clip here because I've done this before. I'm a huge karma guy, where I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious. Okay, yeah. But I believe that karma, especially in this, I don't want to say day and age, but in this field of what you do, when you are directly responsible, yes, you are. If you were an agent, you are directly responsible for the level of health care that this person that you're talking on the phone is going to get. Because guess what? If I write you a Humana plan and you go to use Humana and it's terrible, who gets the call? Humana or me? I get the call.
Right.
So for everybody out there that just sees them as numbers, that there's no personal connection, or they'll never call me back, or it doesn't matter. I can lose 1 out of every 10. That cancel in a few months. You know who I want to talk to? Those people. After you as an agent already screwed them. Because there's so many people out there that we have to have that talk. And it's in the first interaction to where, take me and Justice on Friday. I think this is what I talked about in the other dojo, but I'll use it here as a quick example. We had somebody call in that wasn't a client of ours that got signed up for a Plan G for April. So we're 6 months out, and Plan G is about the only thing you can't sign up for. You don't have a Medicare card yet, so you can't sign up for like a drug plan or anything else. But these people called in. Mutual of Omaha sent them our way, so I don't know where it came from. But they got them on the phone, and I'm like, okay, like, what's going on, guys? And they go, well, we're not really quite sure because the agent that sold us this said that there's prescriptions and like dental and stuff in here that's not true. And so immediately, exactly that same face that you make, I'm like, what? Like, do you remember who your agent was? And they're like, no, we don't, but we just called Mutual and they sent us here. And I was like, okay, well, let me see if I can do some digging. Yeah. And so then I had Chris take a look and see if he can find them in our system. He couldn't find them whatsoever. So I'm like, okay, let me see if I can help you out here. So they just said that your Plan G covers everything, and this is all you have to pay. And they go, yeah. And then I go, okay, is it $192, I think, is your premium with Mutual of Omaha for a Plan G? And this was in Florida. And they're like, yeah, that's our premium to a T. The reason I said that was also to build credibility. Instead of asking them, okay, well, how much is that costing you? To let them know that, okay, look, I'm an agent as well, too, and so I know what the prices are. You say, yeah, I signed up for a Mutual of Omaha. When I go, okay, is that the one that was $195.27? They go, yep, that's exactly the premium. I go, okay. Man. You can see I take it serious, where I'm not, somebody else might have asked, okay, and how much is theirs costing, instead of telling them the cost. There's a little tips and tricks along the way here as agents. But exactly what I did, I turned to Justice and I was like, hey, are you on a call? And she goes, no. And I go, okay, let me add you on this. And I go, Justice, I want you to do a Plan G presentation for this couple here.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Because he signed up for a Plan G. He has no idea how it works. So we just need to get them taken care of. And the lady was like, but I want to know about drugs and dental vision and other stuff too. And I go, okay, perfect.
First things first, right?
Yeah. First things first, you got to just take care of. Then we can get that information from Justice, where she can put it in the system, and then I'll take a look. So goes through the presentation just fine. And now they're more informed. Now she wants to talk about dental because he's going to lose it come April. Let's talk about the drug plans come April. And we have everything set in stone for what is going to be enrolled in February for him for April 1st. But guess what else happened? The wife goes, are there any Plan Gs that are better? And I go, well, benefit-wise, no, but premium we might be able to take a look at. Let me see who's all out there real quick. This was already an hour on the phone with this person. Okay. And they've already bought their supplement, but it wasn't through us.
I see.
Okay. And they're 5.5 months before it's even active. Why would they care? This is what happens. We write them for an AARP Plan G. Why? Because we taught him how a Plan G works. Right. We showed that we have experience in the class in order to do this, but they liked us more.
Right. Yeah. So the way Medicare Gurus does business has a number of aspects to it, but really it's just like making sure that the person that you're doing business with understands these fundamental concepts, right? Like Plan G is a Plan G is a Plan G. And then, and do you remember I was on a phone call when the lady said, I was going through the Plan G presentation and she's like, you should just have this you send it to us in an email or something. And you asked me like, why do you, when I said to her, I said, I made a point of not contradicting her. You see? So I said, I'll mention that to my superiors. And then when I got off the phone eventually, and Jacob, you said, why we do that? It's because we want them to, if they hear it and they write it down, it helps them to understand it. And the other great thing is that they'll have a copy of it, their own. They can look at it at any time. And so, and also just taking the time and building the relationship and making them understand.
I'm glad you brought that up, because what is it, Adrian, you might have to look, now it's like a podcast, Adrian, you might have to look this up. I can't remember. There's like the 3 or 4 ways for every individual to learn. So you learn by hearing, by seeing, by writing, and then I think I forgot, there might be like a couple more. But I know that's why we want to hit as many senses as we possibly can, because if we just have something printed off, and I'm going to say, okay, let's start at the very top and work our way down. It's just like school. Nobody's going to pay attention. You don't have to do anything but listen.
Yeah.
That's why these people, oh man, I felt so bad for one of these forums that, agents talk about Medicare and everything like this. I felt so bad for this guy. He did a little dinner, right? So I think he said he got like 60 people on Medicare to show up. So, and you're like, man, that's a really good turnout. And it might have been 80, 90 or so too. But man, I felt so bad because, he was like, I think I might be able to enroll this many people. I have appointments set for this many people. You look at pictures of his presentation, not a single person is looking at him. Every person is over their plate, or they're talking to the person beside them, and he's trying to talk about Medicare and everything about Medicare, and nobody's paying attention to him. So if I print you off a sheet that says, here you go, Christopher, this is what a Plan G does, let's talk about it, you're going to go, okay, because you already have everything written down.
You're not processing it and absorbing it.
Exactly. You're not having to do anything on your own. That goes back to the psychological side too, of me telling you to do something and then you responding to it and doing it and then confirming it back with
you. And now that I think about it, it's also like, first of all, it's something that they created themselves, right? So it's in their handwriting, and also that they could add whatever kind of little extra note that they wanted to, like put a star by it, or maybe they're going to write it in a different color or something like that. So it belongs to them in a sense.
They did it.
Yeah. It's
a sense of accomplishment. It's a sense of knowing what's all going on. There's a whole method to the madness. But you ever been to one of them timeshare presentations?
Dude, I used to do that.
You used to do the timeshare presentations? Okay. There's a really good clip from a show called It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but it's a guy that's doing timeshares, and he's giving away golf clubs if you sit through the whole presentation, right? And so, like, that's the whole reason the two main characters show up, and one of them puts headphones in, the other one opens up a magazine, all right? And they're like, all right, bozo, we're here for our free golf clubs, okay? That's like some of these presentations that these Medicare people are doing. Medicare sets a limit of $15 that you can spend per person per food, especially if you're marketing to a lot of people that are on Medicaid or lower income, those types of individuals. It's pretty easy to get somebody in with a free dinner or a free breakfast or a free lunch. Of course it is. Everybody wants food.
Yeah.
Especially if you're having some issues in that department too with your income. But I just can't imagine being a senior in that presentation and having zero interaction.
Mm-hmm.
And there was multiple pictures and just not even a single
Mm-hmm.
person looking at
Mm-hmm.
him. Do you think that he's holding their attention doing that?
No, sir.
No, not at all. He's not making them work for everything.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to talk about whatever he was talking about, whatever it is, it's not holding their attention. That's go to a movie theater. Okay. How many people are watching the movie? Majority everybody, right?
Yeah.
Because they paid to be there.
Right. Right.
Okay. You give somebody a movie ticket for free, you think they're really going to stay 3 hours and watch Batman?
It's just a subtle interplay between like enticing somebody in some aspect, but at the same time, you have to be honest and do business in a way that suits your your conscience.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So because if there's no incentive for them whatsoever, then there's no motivation.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a subtle interplay, because ultimately that's our job, is to help people,
mm-hmm.
right? So, and yeah, sometimes you get on the phone with somebody, and in various sales roles, they'll talk about, okay, you have to find the pain. Okay, so it's like, what is it that this person is, what can I help them with? What can I
mm-hmm.
fix? Some people are just like, I'm good, like everything is fine, like, and like I'm, and okay, well, if that's the case, then you maybe keep looking, keep digging, but at some point, I mean, like you said before, maybe sometimes you're going to find somebody. If you're happy with everything that you have going on, then as long as I've investigated it, then
mm-hmm.
that's a good thing, right?
Mm-hmm. And it's a lot too. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's too cocky, but it's one thing like I've brought up before, where you talk about mindset, where they're like, oh, is this a sales call? And I'm like, I don't want to have to sell you something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's not me trying to come off as saying that cocky wise. That's me saying, if you're not in the best spot, I'm going to let you know.
Right.
Because I'm not going to lie to you about your own coverage.
Yeah.
Because maybe your agent did, but I
haven't really developed the capacity to be able to make a determination
mm-hmm.
about that
mm-hmm.
in fairly short order. So, but it's like, if I can't identify any pain, then like it's a tricky situation for me, I guess, because I can't look, I don't have my license, so there's this limit
mm-hmm.
to what I can do by myself on the phone. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's going to change soon too. Once you get all going there. So I think that's 35 minutes. That is a good place for us to stop here. So Mr. Lacey, thank you for joining me here. You're going to join me beside my desk here in a minute too. We're going to knock some more out. Okay. But if you are you're on Medicare and you want an honest review of whatever you have, if you just want to say hi, I don't care. Just give us a call. Okay. If you're in the best plan, we're going to tell you you're in the best plan. Brandon has a saying where you want to make sure that you have all the coverage you need. You don't have more than you need, and it doesn't cost you more than it has to. Okay. That's what we do here. It's all honesty. Okay. We're not going to sell you something that's going to make your life worse. Where do we get ahead doing that? We don't. You only hurt yourself by doing that. So if you need us to look at anything or have friends or family members, that's exactly what we're here for. Give us a call. Ask for Jacob. Ask for Christopher. Just ask for us, though. Not anybody else. It's okay. We'll take everybody. We'll get busy again. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. If you're on Medicare, call us, and if you're an agent, go sell something. Thanks, guys.